a first eSIM hack hints at phone backdoors. There's a lot of hinting going on. It's very quiet. You have to read between the lines. That's what I'm good at. So the first of its kind hack against the eSIM standard was developed by Security Explorations. This is a security lab based out of Poland. Now, the lab broke the security of an eUICC chip. This is called an embedded universal circuit card, which means it's embedded into the device. You can't take it off. It's not separate, it's embedded. And what does this thing do? Well, it manages SIMs and eSIMs. By now, you guys probably know what a SIM and eSIM is. But we're gonna get hella technical today. I've tried very hard to simplify this, but bear with me. So I've looked at parts of the embedded eUICC tech spec from GSMA, which is the standard, or this organization that creates global cellular standards. But just know I'm not a cellular engineer, so I welcome corrections from anyone who knows better. So we're looking at this eSIM security study, and this is on security-exploitations.com. You can read the study. I'm going to give you a little bit of a context so you can understand what's happening here. Now, any modern device that communicates with the cellular network will have this eUICC chip. Now, this is a chip, a microcontroller really, that runs its own software. It's separate from the operating system of its device, so it can either run on its own chip or it can be embedded into a system on a chip, which is a type of microcontroller that exists within phones. Now, so this little chip is how you can activate a SIM or eSIM. It's not really you activating it though, it's your mobile network provider. So they can actually communicate securely with this eUICC chip. It not only manages your cellular profile secrets, like for instance, the encryption key that you're gonna use to communicate to the nearest radio tower, but it also manages secrets from mobile network operators. Things like encryption keys that they use to communicate securely with the device, right? That's how they go on there and activate your SIM remotely. They can do things like, turn your service off if you haven't paid. They can do all sorts of things. Now, these keys are why only mobile network operators can activate eSIMs on a phone. So this little eUIC chip, I'm gonna come up with a word for it. Yuck, no, that doesn't work. So these are going to store these secret keys in a secure element, which is a piece of storage that is extremely hard to break into. Where this is depends on the device. So this eUICC is responsible for activating your cellular profiles and making them available to use in the phone. And the way mobile network operators do this is they send you a special kind of SMS called an SMSPP or point-to-point SMS. Now, these text messages, these special text messages, you'll never see them on your phone. They're just meant for the eUICC chip. And they do a bunch of things. Now, going to this hack. Now, it's important to note that they didn't target a phone with this. They targeted this operating system called Kaizen OS, which runs on Internet of Things devices. Now, Internet of Things devices can be all types of things. These could be devices that control industrial machinery way out in an oil field, way out in the ocean, or it could be a device that runs in an electric scooter. Fun fact, if you try driving an electric scooter on government property, it slows down. So this is thanks to the scooter's cellular connectivity, because scooters probably have these eUIC chips in them, eUICC chips. So IoT devices can act as a sensor to send data back to its owner, or it could be a remote control type of thing. And of course, they connect to the cellular network to communicate back home. Now back to the story. So this ran on a operating system called Kaizen OS. Kaizen is a giant in the IoT SIM space with over 2 billion SIMs. Here's Kaizen. We'll look at their front page. Now, a feature of Kaizen OS is it can run tiny application or applets written in the Java programming language. Now, this is called the Java Smart Card specification, and it's actually inside cellular specifications that these cards may run Java. We're looking at the specifications here, and you'll see that Java card support isn't. It says, this is really weird the way they phrased it, because it's a very technical document. The eUICC may support Java card. And there's hardware characteristics. This is a really good document that I'm going to link to in the post that will be published in a few days. Now, what are these tiny applets? Well, this is Kaizen's response. Let's go back to the original study. Let's look at some of their notes. Yeah, there's a lot of information here. They reported it to Kaizen. They also reported it to Oracle. So where does Oracle come in? Well, these the Java programming language is written by Oracle. The Java Smart Card is Oracle intellectual property. And so these eUICC chips that support Java card specs can run these little applications on them. Now, these can do a lot of different things. They can let you interact with carrier services. They can check the current balance of your account. They can configure roaming. They could authenticate to the network. They do a lot of crypto stuff, encryption, decryption, verifying, and they can also do remote device management. Now, this is in the GSMA spec, like I said. So how does this attack happen? Well, one, it has to happen on a card that supports the Java card specification and also is using a vulnerable version of this spec or their implementation. So Java card, think about it like a set of rules. This is how you would make a Java card. And then the person writing the software for the eUICC has to go ahead and TBOT type that out and try and match the specification. But they can do a bad job. And so Kaizen OS had a vulnerable sample. So the way you can do this attack is you need a sample card first to get the right security keys so that you can connect into this eUICC chip and install an applet. Like already to be able to do this attack, you need to be able to, you basically need to be a mobile network provider. Any authorized mobile network provider would be able to do things like these. And so if you have that and then you have a sample card, you could actually perform this attack on Kaizen OS or any insecure implementation of the Java card virtual machine. And the way you do it is you send a malicious Java app to the device. It's an exploit called a type confusion exploit, which lets the program read a larger area of memory than it should be allowed. Now, what does that mean? So, okay, think about it. You have this card that's supposed to guard secrets, and now you have this app that is actually able to read way more memory than it's supposed to. So it could read other secrets. It could write to other locations on the card. So it could install new eSIMs on your device. It could activate new eSIMs on your device. It could take your existing SIM profile and copy it, and then they could put it on a different device. They could isolate the profile from remote control. So someone trying to get into the device can't regain control. And they can also grab the sensitive data from mobile network operators, which can be used in other attacks. So now they don't even need to attack your phone. They can attack other mobile network operators, which may have a profile enabled on that phone or may be compatible with that eUICC. And so they could also read data that might be stored on that secure element. For instance, Apple and Samsung, Samsung for sure uses the eUICC to store different things like security information about transit, like the subway, like subway passes. You can use Samsung NFC to do this. Payments, digital key access, secure storage, all that type of stuff. So it's like basically the tap to pay stuff. It uses the eUICC chip, at least Samsung's does. You can kind of see it here. Oh, where is it listed? Here we go. In Universal Integrated Circuit Card. So they do this, right? Now, Kaizen released they're like, okay, here's a vulnerability, and they say here it's a test profile vulnerability, and then they fix it in the test profile. But the security lab disagrees with that. It's not just a test profile. Any vulnerable implementation of Java card could be targeted with this. Any eUICC chip could be targeted with this. And Oracle ignored the security researchers' report, saying that it's up to the vendors to secure their implementations. Because remember, Oracle writes, this is how you should implement it. And they're like, nah, like we don't care. You implement it how you want. It's their responsibility. Saying that they're not going to provide any guidance on a programming language they created. So, long story short, this could serve as a way to backdoor a phone if that phone is running a vulnerable implementation of the Java card spec. Now, I've looked at Apple, and it's unclear whether they do, but they definitely do support I'm not sure if it's Java card, but they definitely support NFC payments, and I believe that's using a eUICC chip. So it's pretty likely that they do, because I mean, there's one specification that the GSMA writes, and Oracle Java card is the only option in there to run applets. And so if you were a mobile network provider, and if you had a sample card, you could attack any device with a eUICC. That could be an Apple phone, that could be a Samsung phone. It could be a Pixel phone if they're running a vulnerable implementation. I think I've said that like 100 times now. I won't say it anymore. So I got to ask the question: Are these different devices vulnerable? And that's a question that is hard to answer. I've tried to dig into it, and these companies are not forthcoming about these eUICC chips. I mean, I feel like these are really, they're magic. They're very, very important to the entire way our cellular infrastructure works. Very important. So they're kind of very protective about how it works, what certain manufacturers are running what type of software on their eUICC chips, whether they wrote it themselves, whether they're using a third-party piece of software. You guys know we have our own data SIM, which is an eSIM. Now, the thing I intended when we created the service was to have a data SIM that doesn't have any telephone capabilities or SMS, so there's no phone number to take over, which could happen if you were vulnerable to this vulnerability. Now, so this is a data SIM. It's an eSIM that you can activate. We have many different plans for different parts of the world. There's two types. You can do prepaid or you can do monthly. And those are exactly what those sound like. So go to abovephone.com/datasim if you want more information. Now, what I've been recommending with our data SIM is to use it for cellular data only. It doesn't do calls or text messages. And I don't think people should use SIM cards to make calls and texts. Now, if you're using a VPN, which is the recommended way, even if your eUICC was compromised, it would only be able to see encrypted data passing through, which gets decrypted on the phone's operating system, right? Which is outside of the reach of the eUICC chip. So this is going to minimize, it's going to help reduce your attack surface, but there are other ways, right? The eUICC chip is just the start. There are other ways they could continue to try and attack your phone. They could try and send you malicious streams of data, applications on your phone. They could do things like Pegasus. They could try and send you silent SMSs. But the VPN is going to help tremendously because your phone is going to require that all the data is encrypted with your VPN private key, which it sounds like magic, but it really just works on the phone. So it's expecting the VPN server to send it data. It's not going to be able to decrypt anything else off the phone. So this is going to help protect you. So cybersecurity feels like magic, and that's why you need as many pieces, many layers of protection as possible. And so if you're taking the story seriously, I recommend you check out our project Above Phone, abovephone.com, powered by Graphene OS, and of course Above Data SIM. So there's multiple layers to this thing. Cool. Well, I don't think anyone else is talking about this eSIM vulnerability, this eUICC vulnerability that could potentially impact phones. It is definitely impacting Samsung phones. Well, it is if Samsung is running one more time, a vulnerable version of the Oracle spec.